It was Christmas night after all the festivities had wrapped up. It was also my 18th birthday. My best friend called and asked if I wanted to go for a ride to smoke a few Black and Milds. This is the type of thing we would do for fun back in high school. So he picked me up around 9 p.m. in his mom's Ford Explorer, and off we went to the Shell gas station to purchase a pack of cigars. We were young, bored, and had always had an interest in exploring unknown and potentially dangerous territory. We were obsessed with all things horror. So before I move forward, I want to say, we grew up in a small town in Massachusetts that borders another small town in Rhode Island. This Rhode Island town is home of the state's longest road called Diamond Hill Road. It stretches through multiple towns and is a very narrow and windy ride. There are countless stories and myths attached to Diamond Hill. Lots of myths about crypto, such as Bigfoot, which we don't really feed into or believe. But there is one story that's 100% factual. A young boy was struck and killed by a car years ago, and people now claim to have seen his spirit while driving. This story has nothing to do with that. I'm just trying to paint the picture here. It's a very creepy road with an eerie atmosphere surrounding it. Something just feels off. So anyways, there's a long stretch where the road gets extra narrow, and there are 0 streetlights, and you're completely surrounded by woods on both sides. We were driving along looking for some type of trouble. We'd always been infatuated with these type of situations. We often would break into an abandoned asylum nearby, hoping for some type of creepy encounter. So as stupid as it sounds, we were hoping something would happen. As we're driving along the pitch-black narrow stretch, we see a little dirt path off the right side up ahead where we could pull off to park. So we did just that. As we parked the car, we noticed we were adjacent to some type of gate or fence. Hard to describe, but I think it's called a swing sentinel. Basically just a short barrier that would stop you from driving your car through and down into the woods. But we decided to exit the vehicle and investigate, so we could easily walk around this gate and into the woods and on foot. We noticed what looked like a street light, maybe about 1/5 of a mile into the woods, almost straight ahead but a little off to the right of where we were standing. It was really hard to see with the little light we had, but we decided to keep moving. The closer we got to the source of light ahead, the easier it became to see our surroundings. So we continue on. Following the streetlight thing, we finally arrived after about 7 to 10 minutes. We were intrigued, so we decided to start walking towards it. Now, this was before the iPhones, so all we had for a light source was the screen of our Androids or whatever we owned at the time. We looked at each other one more time and then started our journey. It was gravel and dirt road about 12 to 15 feet wide, surrounded by woods on either side. We noticed there was a fork in the path. We can either bear left and walk into what looks like nothingness, probably more woods. But we look to our right and there is the source of light about 40 feet away from where we're standing. What we thought looked like a street light was a light post on top of a small white brick building. We had no idea what this building was. There was a fenced-in area attached to this building, with machines such as radiators and other things. We just stood there and stared for a good minute. Nothing scary about the buildings whatsoever. We're standing there another minute or so, about to turn around and give up. There was nothing exciting about this until I heard something crunch or snap in the trees. I know it sounds like a corny movie scene, but I really heard something crunch. My best friend had just suggested we head back, until I heard the noise and said hold on, give it like 5 more seconds. So we stood there dead silent, waiting for something to happen. A few seconds later, someone shuffled out from behind the white building with their hands by their side, at a weirdly fast pace. They just stared at us and drifted off into the woods. It was probably 8 feet between the edge of the building and the brush that they scurried into. So it's happened really fast. We ran as fast as humanly possible, so fast I lost one of my shoes. We didn't have time to think or stick around, we just booked it. The weirdest part is, it's hard to really remember everything clearly. It's like I blacked out, but from what I do remember, the person was wearing the same exact outfit that I had on that night. A beige hoodie with a gray sweatpants and black shoes. I couldn't identify a face. All I remember is they had their hood on and I only remember darkness underneath it. They were shuffling like a basketball player on defense. They were moving insanely fast. It was such a bizarre and unexplainable situation. I don't believe in the paranormal. I don't think it was anything like that. But it's confusing because the way they moved was not human. And why do I remember them wearing what I was wearing? And why would someone be out in the middle of the woods on Christmas night in 30-degree weather? I'll never understand what it is we saw that night on Diamond Hill. I had always hoped for a moment like this, and I finally got it. But it didn't fulfill me the way I thought it would. It was such an eerie feeling. I only stayed to appreciate it years later. It's a great story to tell now. And before anyone asks, no, it was not an animal. It was shaped just like a human being, 2 arms and 4 legs. We were not intoxicated in any way either. I truly believe this was probably just some creepy person, but it's hard to say for sure. Also keep in mind, this is a very safe neighborhood and area. We're still confused to this day. And lastly, I went back the next day with my dad to retrieve the shoe I had ran myself out of. He was so intrigued he wanted to come check it out. We walked up to the exact spot where we had seen this person. It was a lot easier to see things during the day, of course. We saw what was clearly shoe marks in the gravel, like a shoe had been dragged to the ground. The weird thing was, we noticed there was a short rock wall about 2 feet high on the edge of the woods that he had shuffled into. What's weird about that, though, is that it looked like he just glided effortlessly into the woods the night before. But he would have had to jump over the rock wall. In conclusion, none of this makes much sense, and I'm still lost to this day. This is my first time sharing this story publicly.